Welcome to another edition of Kelly and Company. Appreciate you being with us, as we always do. On today's show, Kaileigh Coles is the filmmaker behind Through My Eyes, a docuseries released on Telus Optik TV. And this one, folks, hits close to home. We find out about the doc and her journey creating it, an interesting journey at that, folks. We're going to pack a lot into the next half hour, so hold on, away we go.
This is Kelly and Company.
Kelly MacDonald settling in. Nisreen Abdul-Majid joining me on the show as we've got a busy half hour. Nisreen, welcome back. And I think, Nisreen, you're going to get me into trouble here with this first topic that we're going to get into. Is usually at this point on a Tuesday, we try to get into a little media discussion.
Why would I get you in trouble? Are you a Disney fan?
No, that's how. Every time people bring up this, I start getting into trouble. They and I can't hide. Oh yes, that's what. Oh yeah, very good movie. Oh, that was a really great. It was very sweet. I can't say any of that because as a child, I just, as soon as someone said Disney's coming on, where you going, Kelly?
So you never watch Disney movies?
I don't want to say never, because I'm sure somebody's parents who was watching me or something at some point, or one of my siblings had it playing. So I'm not going to pretend I didn't or haven't heard. Yeah. But if I could avoid them, I avoided them. I did that with Lassie and all that stuff too.
Yeah. Okay, question. What's one Disney movie that you remember watching from start to end?
I think Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. That's a Disney, isn't it?
That. I don't
Dick Van Dyke, and I think he's in that, and it's something to do with a car, but I don't honestly remember. Yeah.
That's the one. I'm a huge Disney fan, so I think Remia can agree with me on that. But I watched.
Well, I'm sure I've watched some of the or know the
90%.
stories of some of the others, especially if they were a book first.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you about a thread post that that got a whole lot of attention. Maybe not your attention, but it's trending right now. And let me tell you why it's trending. A user posted this question online asking people, what's a Disney movie that everybody loves, but you just don't get? So, and the responses were a big shock to me. I'm going to share some of them, and I want to hear what you think of these responses. Okay. So first off, this one I agree with, because Cars. The response said, Cars. It's kind of boring. They made 3 of them, though. I agree with that. I honestly never liked Cars, but my nephew loves it.
See, that would be the thing to attract me, because I'd never watched, but I wasn't surprised the amount they made just because of the subject matter. I reference again, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. But why boring to you?
I don't know. It's just, talking cars. It never really interests me. And there was
so it'd be the same if it was talking baseballs or baseball bats or something like that. You'd have no interest.
It's not that I don't like cars in general, and that's why I don't like them. It's just the whole plot it wasn't really catching my attention. I would zone out all the time. So whenever my nephew watches it till now, I'm like, okay, I'm out. It's not really about, it's cars, but there's always more storyline and that kind of thing based on what we as human beings relate to. It's giving them life. Yeah. Okay. No, exactly. Okay, next one. This response, quote, personally, Encanto pissed me TF off. This is straight up child abuse. Grandma pissed me off. Never being good enough. Having to prove yourself in order to be loved by your family. Awful, awful movie. End quote. I don't know. Encanto, I felt like it was a really good movie. I didn't think it was awful. I don't agree with this response. Maybe it was overhyped.
When was that done?
It was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was new, right? Because recent. I hardly know that one. I just know the name of it. It's interesting because you look at the culture of some of the Disney stuff, and we've talked about this on the show, how things had to change because some of the stuff gets back into being almost hey, you don't do that now. It's abusive, or that's this or that. That's wrong, right? And I wonder that because they've made the attempts to correct or announce they're making different versions of movies, so they're not quite the same as the originals. Interesting.
So
you feel that way.
I agree with this, like the opinion of this, where the whole movie she's just trying to prove herself to her family that she's good enough, even though she doesn't have, you know, the powers that they show with the other siblings. So I understand the reason behind that they don't like it, but at the same time, I didn't feel like it was an awful movie. I thought it was like very inclusive, diverse, and it was beautiful, and it was such a fun time. Like, it was funny, it was interesting, it was an interesting plot. It caught my attention.
Okay, now the next one, at least I know of, The Lion King, and possibly have seen some of that somewhere. This was a play too, wasn't it? That might be how come it sticks more in my head.
This was a shock to me. This was a big shock to me. I believe they did a play of this too, but the response was, I'll be honest, The Lion King. Don't get me wrong, it's a good movie, but it wasn't great. Like, I didn't want Lion King toys or bedding as a kid, and I didn't ask to watch it a million times. It was just all right to me. Even today, it's just all right. I'll never understand why people put it up on a pedestal above all other Disney movies. I disagree with this response. I mean, Lion King, it's an OG, it's a classic, and I couldn't believe this response because I thought everybody loved The Lion King. So this was a shock to me.
Here's a weird thing that dawns on me, because as a kid, you were like saying to me, you didn't watch this stuff as a kid. No, not really. I avoided it. But what I find interesting as you go down your list, and speaking of it, is how much my parents like certain Disney movies. And I haven't talked to my siblings lately about Disney, but it's almost like there's two camps, right? You as a kid watching stuff and growing up enjoying the Disney movies, or as a current child, or adults watching it with their children, maybe didn't watch it as children, who have their favorite movies that they watch, and even when the kids are grown up, they'll still watch, or make sure the grandchildren watch. It's almost interesting, two schools there of the way people think or view as an adult, or from that child perspective, which I think sticks with you all your life. You still view it the same when you the way you did as a child. You may understand it more. Do you
feel like people still? Yeah, I feel like people understand it more and have a bit of a different perspective.
But some of that's from watching it 1,200 times, like Ramya. You know, she'll watch these darn things well, I mean, I gather you're the same. Karen McGee's the same, that with anything Disney, right? And we all, if we like something, I guess we all are, right? Yeah. But ones that you're not so cool about, Poor Cars up there at the top, that's your impression as an adult. As a child, it's almost just something you do.
I think it's also because Cars came out, I think, after my time. So I didn't really grow up watching it.
Right. Because obviously there's plenty of kids who feel the same way about Cars and wouldn't have wanted, I'm not understanding. But talking cars, talking, like I said, baseballs or baseball bats, you may not be a sports fan, but as a child, that doesn't matter. You know what it is, and it doesn't matter. It's talking to us. Okay. Okay,
the next one is a very big disappointment, because this is one of my favorite Disney movies, The Little Mermaid. This person said, I hate The Little Mermaid. 4 hates, by the way. A literal child wanting to be human just so she can get a man. This movie is so humiliating for women and borders on approving pedophilia. You know what? Like, I understand why this person would think that, because she's literally changing her whole identity for a man. And I agree with the reason, but growing up watching this movie, I never thought of it that way. It was never that. I never
the level of innocence in watching that and not stopping to think of it again. But again, I know from my father, he loved these kinds of shows, movies, right? And he would advocate where some people would probably say this kind of thing to him. Why, you're some kind of misogynist? You're weird, right? They would be totally offended, whereas he is sitting there with grandchildren watching it, and it's sweet. And I think that's where you come from on that level, and not so quick to think, well, I mean, look, we've heard people say the things they say about different characters. Well, they must be on a different spectrum or whatever. Like,
I don't know.
it's an opinion people have to have.
Maybe some people
or
take
think
it too seriously nowadays, and that's why they have these opinions. But I never thought of it that way, so I never saw it as an awful movie. I loved The Little Mermaid.
No. Oh yeah.
Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, let's try going down your list here. Let's do 2 more.
Okay, perfect. So the next one is Frozen. I don't even dislike it. I just don't get the hype. It's had for so long now. There have been so many better Disney movies. Listen, I agree with this response. I feel like Frozen was so overhyped. Yes, it had catchy songs. Yes, the plot was interesting, blah, 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 blah. But there were so many better Disney movies. And I feel like there were so many underrated Disney movies that could have had the same hype. But Frozen, too much of a hype. Like when I went to Disney World a couple of years ago, there was just Frozen in everywhere, every inch of.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah.
And then you wonder how much is to milk the next film. Can you jump to Tarzan? I'm curious on your opinion of. I do know of Tarzan. I do know of that one.
Okay,
of course, I know of it as an old-time radio show, but
I'm glad you know. Okay, so Tarzan, this response said, the music was terrible, and Phil Collins won a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Golden Globe for that song. I can't believe it. So, I mean, Tarzan, again, it's just like, it's a classic. It's just like The Lion King, where it's a classic, it's an OG. I don't feel like it's a bad movie. I never thought it was too overhyped. I thought it was just perfect. I love the different versions they made of Tarzan, by the way.
Yeah. Do you think you'd have to? Tarzan just became so big outside of Disney even.
Yeah, and you'd think that, people stick to the original Tarzan and forget about the remakes, but I loved the remakes. I loved it. Him as a kid, that was amazing.
Doing our media check today, Nisreen bringing us some stuff, Disney opinions that are out there online. Do us a favor. Follow our show on Instagram and Twitter at Kelly & Co. AMI. A lot of work goes into interacting with you out there, and please do. That's at Kelly & Co. AMI. Appreciate it. Kaileigh Coles is the filmmaker behind Through My Eyes, a docuseries released on Telus Optik TV, and this one hits close to home for us. Let's give the trailer a run here. Let's start there.
Just start by introducing yourself.
Hi, I'm Kaileigh Coles. I'm an artist, and I'm a mom, and I'm a grandma, and I'm visually impaired.
People with any disability need to be visible, need to be out there, need to have the support structure to entertain that attitude of, I can do this.
It's really important for me because I feel like I'm included in this. I feel like I'm seen and I'm heard.
Wow, wonderful. Good start here to this chat we're going to have. Joining Nisreen and I, welcome Kaileigh to Kelly & Company. Can we start by asking you, what is the docuseries Through My Eyes? What's it all about? And for you, why is it close to your heart?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. So the docuseries Through My Eyes, it's an 8-part series that we shot last year. And it features Maureen Coles. She's an artist based in British Columbia. She's now on Vancouver Island, actually. But she's also my mom. And so she had the idea to kind of make this series about what it is to be a professional artist. She's a visual artist. She paints. And why it's important that art is accessible for everybody. And so we interview other artists based in Vancouver and BC. We interview accessibility experts and various arts organizations just to kind of cover all the, different aspects of, having a career in the arts and, how it can be more accessible to more people.
Kaileigh, I'm curious how you sold it. so many of us do so much work, and obviously you know what we do here at AMI, and trying to get people's stories out there, but a lot of it is that selling, that pitch, which is for anything, and I understand that in the world of documentary creation, film creation, anything that you're trying to explain to people, this is how come you should be interested, this is how come an audience would be interested. How did this fall into be, the thought of doing this 8 parts, and the approach walk up with from idea to actually getting it done, and maybe some of the process of decision making of who you were going to speak to and at what point during the series?
Yeah, so the idea kind of came from, so my mom, she has had low vision her entire life, but she's noticed, and as she has been getting older, her vision has been changing. So that's kind of where the idea came from. And she wanted to create a new collection of paintings that sort of reflect her changing vision and her kind of changing artist voice. So basically the series kind of follows her process in creating this new collection of art. And the final episode culminates in an exhibition. It's a solo exhibition she puts on, and she created, I think it's 10 pieces of tactile art. Nice. So that's kind of how, we got people excited about it, to follow along the journey of, starting a painting to completing it and people seeing it in public live. So the exhibition was really cool. We had it here in Vancouver, and that was last April, I believe. And so people could touch all of the paintings. They were all meant to be touched, and we had audio descriptions for each painting. So it was something new for us to try, but we were really excited at the response. And for me, it's, new territory. So I was very excited to, get into the project and work on it with my mom.
Oh, are you planning to do it in different cities since you already had it in Vancouver?
Yeah, that's the hope. Obviously it comes down to the cost at the end of the day, like transporting all the work and everywhere and finding venues and stuff. But yeah, that's what she really hopes to do, is to bring it to other venues, other cities, and hopefully more people can enjoy it.
Wow, that's beautiful. Tell us a little bit about your work too before we return, because I am curious about what you do, and a big congratulations to you for getting accepted into the General Equity and Media Festival.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're really excited. It's screening this Friday at the Gem Fest in Vancouver. This is our first festival, and my first festival actually. So I've primarily been a producer for the past few years with my production company, Honeywagon Media. And so this is kind of the first big project that I've directed. I've done like little shorts before, but this kind of scale was kind of my first big directing project. So I definitely hope to do more of that. And kind of work on some more scripted. And I love documentary as well. I think it's just fun to, see how the story comes out based on who you're talking to. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Very nice.
So when is the screening?
So the screening is Friday, March 7th. It's 1 p.m. at the VIF Center in Vancouver. And it's going to be playing along with a few other short films. We're really excited. There's a little Q&A after, and so Maureen will be there as well. And so, yeah, it's going to be really fun.
That is fantastic. Can you talk briefly about some of the artists, other people along the way, anyone else that should get a shout out that was integral to this in some way?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just a few artists that we interviewed throughout the series. Lauren Curry, he's a great, fantastic artist based in Vancouver. He works primarily in oil, I believe. Michael King as well, fantastic plein air painter. So he just paints what he sees outside. He doesn't normally paint from photographs like some artists do. And we also interviewed Amy Amonte, who's an AMI team member as well. And she talks to us about, you guys probably know her, but she talks to us all about, accessibility in the arts and a little bit about her journey as well. So those are just a few, but there's, so many more great interviews in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's tremendous.
Can you tell us? Can you tell everybody how to find the docuseries?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently, it's available on Telus Optik TV, which I believe is for only in BC and Alberta, and you can search in the video on demand and just type in "Through My Eyes" or visit Channel 9 and browse through the catalog there. And then the hope is that we can get it distributed, countrywide. And so people on the East Coast can also check it out.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah.
Well, I love the people you spoke to. I love that it's 8 parts because we get to see things come together, but it's that journey along the way for your mom and for everyone else. Fedora's off to you guys for making this available and telling the story that so many people should get a chance to know, Kaileigh.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really hope that people enjoy it, and it was, great project to be part of for sure.
Good luck to Mom. Good luck to everybody. And thank you so much for coming and promoting and sharing and letting us know how we can get a chance, because it just puts a big smile on your face when you know that exposure for everyone is out there. Kaileigh, take care. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you.
Big thanks to Kaileigh Coles for joining us. This sounds so fascinating. So the best of luck to all of them in the festival coming up. Through My Eyes is available, as Kaileigh mentioned, on Telus Optik TV. You can do the search over there and find it. Folks, if you would, email us at kellyco.am. This is what I did yesterday. What is going on with me with this? kellyco@ami.ca.
You don't say it enough, apparently.
Apparently not, or I'm too automatic with it. You can call us too, 1-866-509-4545. It's the rhythm, right? 1-866-509-4545. Always love to hear from you too. Haven't had any messages of late, guys. Reach out to us. Give us a shout. Hey, just don't critique the way I give the email address out. We're aware. We're on it. Host Alex Smythe. He goes out and spotlights during Parasport Nation events in Canada, parasport events, and abroad, of course. He pulls back the curtain on how parasports are played out there and interviews parasport athletes, coaches, and trainers. Alex, what's going on today? Welcome back. You guys have the show coming up in mere minutes.
Yeah, it's a great episode today. So we are chatting with Nisreen Hamel, who is a para snowboarder. Big White, the World Championship for para snowboarding, is kicking off today. So we had a chance to chat with her on her season, a bit of how she's feeling a year out from the Paralympics in 2026. Kelly, it's coming up fast, as well as preparing for Big White itself. We get into all sorts of things. My favorite question I love to ask winter athletes, especially ones who deal with snow: what is your preferred snow conditions? And the answers we've gotten so far, including Nisreen's, fascinating. I love it. I love seeing athletes geek out over small minutia and details. So that's coming up on today's episode in a few minutes. And then Friday, if I can tease that, this one's really exciting. It's something a bit different. So we have Will Stevens from Trailer Park Sports Network. It's TPSN. So not PSN, TPSN. We kind of come across him on social media, just blowing up in the last few weeks, and he covers all sorts of things. he really gets into the world of parasport, something that, you know, he's kind of discovering on his own. So we wanted to have him on the show, see what he's learned so far, why it excites him so much, and why the response has been so good when he does cover parasports and kind of shares and raises the awareness of parasports to his audience. So that's going to be a really fun conversation on Friday.
Yeah, that's broadcaster to broadcaster. We know how thrilling. Yep. So you just mentioned geeking out, these athletes do over stuff. Now we get to see broadcasters and creatives that way really geek out. And I know, Alex, I mean, God, I was like that at 9 years old, listening into someone talk about what they do, how come. And of course, as a disabled person, I always ask that question, why? Why are you so into it? And you're looking for that really cool answer that goes beyond just, because it's disabled people doing amazing things. You look for that very educated, very thorough answer of, I've experienced, I enjoy, I'm a fan. Period.
Yeah, and it's the whole idea of having sports that adds something different, a different element than what you're used to.
Yeah, and an enjoyment, and a true enjoyment. I know some of us get thinking, because we're very quick to say, well, yeah, I guess you're amazed that these disabled people are doing this stuff, when they're the first that would stop and say, I'm amazed these fantastic athletes are doing this, because it's a huge different world. Good luck with the show, Alex. Some great ones this week.
Thank you. Talk to you next week.
AMI's Parasport Nation is right on the air Tuesdays and Fridays, right after Kelly and Company, the second half of our hour. You can also find them, of course, as a podcast and on YouTube, folks. Remember to check out our podcast from your platform of choice and give us a rating and review. On our next show, we're going to discover how parents and non-parents can define their wellness in 3 parts. And Dan Showman joins us, broadcaster with Sportsnet and ESPN, to talk Blue Jays baseball and the upcoming NCAA tournament. All that on the next edition of Kelly and Company. We're waving at you.
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly and Company. Follow us on all social media, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.